Hi, this is Joey O'Neill from Sound Systems Incorporated, and we are currently at Hog Swamp Baptist Church right outside of Lumberton, North Carolina. And the church had some previous equipment, and we came in and did a slight bit of upgrades for them. But the purpose of this video is just to help the ladies who run the audio system. They're not real familiar with a digital mixer, so I'm just going to go through some basic settings of the mixer and how it operates in the sound system in relation to this church. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a general overview of how the mixer operates. This is one of those devices that you can unplug and do it wirelessly. Currently we have it setting in the sound booth that you can run it just like a normal mixer. But in this church we have 5 wireless microphones. We have computer playback. We've got a couple of congregation style mics hanging over the choir and one over the piano. And we also have a feed from the computer. You can't see it from here, but I've got a cable over to the side. So what I'm going to do is go through the audio mixer and tell you how things are set up. And then what we're going to do is tell you how to control certain things, such as stuff for the main house sound system and the stage monitors. Now, the layout here in the church, I'm not going to move my iPad, but we have a couple of full-range speakers attached to the ceiling that serve the sanctuary. And then we have a couple of reference monitors behind that, and they serve the piano player and the platform and the stage and the choir. And we have to think of those as 2 independent sound systems, meaning that I can make changes on my mixer, and it will make changes out for the house part of the speaker system with the congregation sitting, and I can also make changes for the people who are up on stage. So this mixer is very basic, laid out very nice. I'm going to go through the channels because you may not be able to see them on my iPad, but channel 1 is listed as Pastor, and Pastor Tony here has a Shure a little lavalier pack that he wears. Number 2, we have wireless number 1, 2, and 3 are handheld wireless Shure SM58s that operate on AA batteries. One button turns the microphone on. If you push it slightly, it mutes it. I'm sorry, on this one it just shuts it back off. It doesn't have a mute switch. So turning it on, testing 1, 2, 3, and holding the button turns it back off. AA batteries, and then these are the channel settings here, which you shouldn't have to mess with. But we have 4 of those wireless microphones. Currently we have wireless number 1, 2, and 3. Because we were limited on channels, this is wireless number 4 cable that we've unplugged, and we've actually attached a condenser microphone, which is a choir style microphone, over the piano. We have a little DVD player over to our right that plays music playback, and then we have a microphone over the choir, and then we have a little 3.5 cable over here to my left that plays sound from the computer system. So what I'm going to do is basically just I'm going to talk on this wireless microphone here. I have wireless microphone number 1, and if we look right here, this is wireless microphone number 1. Testing 1, 2, 3, and if we look, the LED lights move as I speak into the microphone. And now I have the capability of either A, grabbing this little fader and sliding it down, which turns me down in the house system, or testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I can turn it up in the house sound system. Excuse me. I also have the capability of muting the microphone, which of course turns it off everywhere in the house speakers and in the stage monitors. And obviously I can turn that on and off as needed. Pull my slider down. And then a couple other cool things I can do with this particular digital mixer. In this section right here, this little gray section, this adds a gate and a compressor. Now I'm not going to get any details about the gate and compressor in this setup. So all I'm going to do is tell you that what this does is if I had somebody who was very loud or really into a microphone very heavy, a compressor would act kind of like a governor on a golf cart, and it would kind of hold them back from getting so loud. I'm not going to get in detail of that, but I will go in detail a little bit about the graphic equalizer. So let me go back, and I'm still on this wireless microphone channel number 1. So anything I do adjust only this wireless microphone channel. This section right here that's got the little dip in it, if I push that, this becomes a graphic equalizer. Now the graphic equalizer is real cool because it takes things and let them add more bass or more treble or more clarity or more sibilance or anything like that. And all I have to do with this is just touch and grab my graphic equalizer. As you can see, it changes in tone quite a bit. I can make it sound very woofy and very muddy, almost like an AM radio. I don't know if you can tell on the iPad, but I can drag the equalizer around. And generally, you're going to have a flat line, which is probably the best way to keep it. And you may have a couple spots that you just take and dip out. Now, one secret to this is if you have somebody that has a voice that's very boomy or hard to understand, this little thing right here called HPF, which means high pass filter, you can grab that little guy and pull him over here to our right, and it takes away some of the bass from their voice. Now, let's say that I have somebody that I can't understand, not a lot of clarity. I'm going to overemphasize it, but I could come over here to this number 4, and I could grab this and bring this up, and it starts making my microphone very crisp and very clear. I have to caution you on this because that also starts to add potential feedback, squealing, things like that, which are not desired. But it does give it a nice sibilance and a nice clarity that you could use. And all this depends on the individual's voices. So I'm going to go back to my main screen, which is the second button here, and now I'm right back to where I was. So I'm still on wireless 1. I can hit the mute switch, turns me off, turns me back on. I can take my graphic equalizer and adjust the tone in any way I would like. And then most importantly is this top button here, which is called the trim. This just means the volume control, check 1, 2, for the entire channel. So I have to be careful with the trim, and I would suggest leaving it where it's at if you have enough volume in the sanctuary. But this is also going to give us another control. We have monitor speakers on stage, which means if I was singing up in the choir, you would turn me up or down here and people would hear me in the sanctuary. But I may be standing in the choir singing and I'm saying, hey, I can't hear myself up here. I need to hear my vocal microphone a little bit better. So how would I adjust that? Well, it's very easy. You go back up to the very top button slot right here where the trim was at. And there are 2 pink lines here. One says Auxiliary 1. And this Auxiliary 1 controls the amount of sound that my microphone goes to the choir speakers facing the choir up on stage. So I can independently control my voice going to the choir and independently control my voice going out to the congregation. One other option is we are recording with a little USB camera, and we are sending sound to a small computer, which we'll go through in a few minutes. Since Auxiliary 1 is the sound that goes to our stage monitors, Auxiliary 2 is the sound that independently goes to our little laptop recorder. So we have many different options. I have sound control for the main sanctuary, sound control for the monitor speakers on stage, and sound control going to the recording on my computer. Okay, all of these channels basically are the same. Once I learn what one channel does, it doesn't matter how many I have. But there are a couple of things that we need to keep in mind. Over here to the far right, this is the master volume control. So if I slide this up, it turns every single channel up accordingly or down accordingly. Although I do have individual control for every one of them. Then, for example, my DVD player, I can come over here and I can unmute my DVD player and turn my music up. And now if somebody says, hey, I want to hear my music a little bit louder on the stage monitors, then I can, in my DVD channel, I can hit up here to the top and I can turn my volume up to the stage monitors on stage. As far as the regular mixer goes, these gain controls really don't have to be adjusted because we're doing that same thing here. Now, I'm going to mute my DVD so I don't have to talk over it. But a couple of other little things about the mixer. Again, we've got computer input, choir, which is over in the choir area, DVD, which is a DVD player back to our right. We've got a condenser microphone hanging over the piano, where the piano and organ's at. And right now we have wireless 1, 2, and 3. I'm speaking to you on wireless 1, and then Pastor Tony has a clip-on lavalier pack that we were talking about. We're also sending sound out of this mixer going down to a little box called a modulator, and that sound goes to the TV in the nursery and also goes to a couple large TVs in the fellowship hall. That is controlled by this volume right here that says phones. We don't have a whole lot of outputs on this mixer left, so we're using the headphone out with the volume control. So anything that goes through the audio system, through the sound system, comes out of this headphone jack and goes down to a box and goes to the TVs in the nursery in the fellowship hall. And the only reason I'm telling you that is somebody will come in from the nursery and say, hey, I can see the picture, but I can't hear what they're saying very well. Then we can increase or decrease everything going to the nursery. Okay, without getting into a whole bunch of detail, because these digital mixers, you can dig real deep into them, but I just wanted to give you the basic operational setup for this mixer so that we could come in, feel comfortable about running a church service. So the most important things I need to remember are mute switches. I can mute every channel. And what I like to do is I actually like to mute channels that I'm not using, because that keeps the sound system a little quieter. It doesn't have a lot of hiss or a lot of noise. We got our slider control that we can turn things up or down, and that's pretty much about it. So if you have any questions for me, I'm Joey O'Neill at Sound Systems Incorporated. Our company is in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I can be reached at 843-602-5883. Thank you.